Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good week and having success in growing a passive stream of dividend income. Because that's really what this channel is all about, growing a passive stream of income to be more financially independent and just have a better life. But this video in particular is going to be dedicated to responding to this post I saw on Reddit in r/dividends. The title is 52,000 bucks in QYLD, use dividend to build more safe portfolio. I am thinking of betting large on QYLD and using the income from that ETF to buy other stocks and ETFs. And the reason why I want to bring this to your attention is because I see this kind of logic all the time. A lot of people want to invest in super high yielding assets and then use that cash flow to invest in other securities. And there are some pretty good comments on this post. This one is, if you don't think QYLD is worth enough to reinvest your dividends, why would you invest the principal? A lot of people seem to go for this strategy, but I don't understand why. Assuming a 10% dividend yield, it would take you 10 years to invest 52,000 bucks into the stocks and funds you want to buy using those dividends. But what I'm gathering from this is that if you have a large initial deposit, invest in the stocks and funds that you want from day one. And in the initial post, the guy doesn't even say that he likes QYLD as an investment. He's just using the high dividend yield to fund the investments he actually wants. So here's the plan for this video. I'm going to run the numbers directly so we can see if this strategy does indeed work or not. We're going to run the simulation 2 times with a very high yielding fund like QYLD and another time with a better all-around fund that still has a pretty high yield. And then finally at the end, I'm going to give you guys my opinion as well as my approach to this whole situation. So let's jump right into it. And if you guys do enjoy my content, I always appreciate a like on the video, even subscribing to the channel. It really does help me out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Okay, so to accomplish this, I'm going to be using Portfolio Visualizer to give me all of the data because this shows you the total return and we can switch off things like reinvesting dividends in order to properly calculate all of this. Because remember, essentially all we're doing here is putting an initial deposit into a high yielding fund and then using those monthly dividends to fund other investments. And we want to see if overall this is a better approach and gives you better returns than just directly investing in these funds. Okay, so for the first example, I'm going to be using QYLD to give this the best chances of success because in the past couple of years, QYLD has been doing better than QYLD. And here's the performance without reinvesting dividends, because again, we're taking the dividends from this asset and putting it into other assets. So since 2016, just the price appreciation has been just about 2% per year. And I do want to note that this sideways stagnation isn't really a bad thing when it comes to this strategy, because the strategy here is very specific. People want to put their capital into an investment that maintains its value while producing a lot of cash flow. And speaking of cash flow, this is the yearly amount of dividend income produced without reinvesting, and this is based off of a $10,000 initial deposit. And currently QYLD has a dividend yield of over 12% due to all the volatility in the market, but I'm going to say the average dividend yield is 10%, so a $10,000 investment is annual income of 1,000 bucks, which is 83 bucks per month. And this is what we're going to be using to fund the other investments. And that other investment is just going to be the S&P 500. The starting date again is 2016. The initial deposit is that first dividend of $83, followed by another 83 bucks every single month. And with this investment, we will be reinvesting its own dividends. And that gives us a final balance of $11,419. And the final step here is to come back to the initial investment in QYLD and add the balance here. So altogether, using this approach, we turn 10,000 bucks into $22,733. Now, of course, we have to benchmark this against just putting that initial 10,000 bucks directly into the S&P 500. And in this case, over that same time period, it would have turned that into $24,905. So the difference might not be as massive as you might have initially thought, but it's still pretty clear. If you want to invest in something like the S&P 500, it makes sense to directly invest in it from day one. So let's go ahead and do this one more time, but in this instance, let's use DEVO as the cash flow machine. So it does have a much lower dividend yield, but it actually has a decent amount of price appreciation. So without reinvesting the dividend, it has a CAGR of 8.1%. And in this case, we have to change the start date to 2017. And of course, DEVO has a much lower dividend yield of about 5%, so that gives us yearly income of $500, which equals a monthly payment of $42. So again, if we put that $42 a month into the S&P 500 over the same time, that leaves us a balance of $4,453, which of course has to now be added to the balance of DEVO, which is $15,052. So that's a final balance of $19,505. And finally, if you just put your money directly into the S&P 500 to begin with, you would have a balance of $22,202. So to bring it back to this comment on Reddit, if you don't specifically want to build a second stream of passive growing income, it doesn't make sense performance-wise to first invest in a high-yielding asset and then use the dividends to buy what you actually want to be investing in. But to wrap up this video, I want to give you guys my take on this whole situation of using dividends to fund a portfolio. So from my perspective, I am indeed an income investor, but the thing I value the most is having good overall total returns. That's something I put value in, and I'm willing to give up 1 to 2% per year in returns in order to have that stream of growing income. So the way I approach this is to have an all of the above strategy. So here's a mock portfolio of something that I would be interested in investing in myself. It gives you fantastic exposure to growth and equities, as well as producing that stream of growing passive income, and overall you're going to see that the total returns are still very nice. So here we have the QQQ at 25%. That's going to give you a lot of exposure to technology and growth, followed by QYLD. This is a pure income play. Below that we have DEVO, which is a hybrid, so it gives you exposure to equities as well as covered calls to boost income. And then finally we have SCHD, which in terms of price appreciation, over the past couple of years, it's been doing a great job in keeping pace with the S&P 500, and that's while having a dividend yield of roughly 3%. And since 2017, this portfolio overall has a CAGR of 16.18% and generates roughly $750 worth of annual income based off of that initial $10,000 deposit. And in my opinion, that's super impressive. The CAGR of the S&P 500 over the same time period is 16.41%. So that means you're only giving up 0.3% of annual return in order to achieve a much higher level of dividend income. And of course, if that's something you value, this might be the approach that you favor, much like myself. That's gonna do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did and you're still watching, of course, I appreciate a like on the video. Go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.